educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast, where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
I thank you very much for tuning in today. Thank you for tuning in today. I have a wonderful guest today. She is a seasoned fitness industry veteran with over 25 years of experience, and she has made a bold leap into the digital space. After successfully guiding coaches through transition to online entrepreneurship, she hosted her inaugural online summit in 2020. Mintwave Radio recognized her expertise and invited her to launch a weekly show, A Coffee with Karen, a cup of positivity with just a sprinkle of woo-woo podcast, breaking free from the constraints of traditional radio. Having interviewed countless coaches, consultants, therapists, and healers, Karen uncovered a common thread: the power of sharing personal stories to expand influence and audience reach. And in 2021, she took charge of the station, founding the Raising Vibration Podcast Network. Driven by the realization that providing a platform was insufficient, she identified a need for a comprehensive strategy, leading her to join forces with Evans Putman, the founder of Podcast Profit School. Now, enough about her bio. You will read that in her website or her social media, all that type of stuff. But she currently resides in the top 1% of global podcasts globally. So you'll understand why we're going to talk about podcasting and how it will build up your brand today. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Karen Roberts, thank you very much for joining me today on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me on as a guest, because, I'm normally the host, so this is an exciting new experience.
And hopefully, I can do justice as a fellow host.
Oh, you're doing great.
So as I talked about, in your bio, you talk about how you've been in fitness and you've been in radio, and now you want to help coaches and business owners and entrepreneurs, things like that. But some of us feel as though that, hey, social media is enough to build our brand. But those of us like myself think podcasting is a little twist. So what are your thoughts on what is the big difference between using social media versus using podcasting for business owners?
I think there's a massive difference. I mean, the way I see it, look, everyone's going to have their own personal opinion, I suppose.
Right.
But the way I look at social media is everybody is just fighting to get attention, it feels like. We are taught that you've got to create an engagement post and create an educational post and then a curiosity post and all this stuff. And what I found what was happening with me is that I was just really busy being busy, but not really productive, constantly worrying about what to post, looking at the stats and, I haven't got enough likes or comments. It's all sort of to stroke the ego, but is it actually bringing in business? And that's what I see. I mean, look, what do you do when you open up your Facebook app? Are you really paying that much attention? Are you, Maurice, or are you scrolling? Because I'm scrolling.
I'm scrolling most of the time, yes.
I'm scrolling. And if I want to support my friends or colleagues, so if I see a post by a fellow coach, of course I'm going to hit the love. I might, if I've got time, add a comment.
Right.
But is that really helping them? I mean, it might be lifting up the numbers, but am I going to be a good fit for them? I'm not interested in what they're selling. I just want to support them.
Right.
And so we're looking at numbers, but it's all just stats. And I think it's irrelevant. It's not necessarily, they're not turning engagement into profit, right? They're not actually necessarily getting business through us. We all want to, it depends where you're at in business. Some people, they want to use organic marketing methods. So they're focusing on so they're spending a lot of time on these posts, or they're running ads.
Right.
The difference when you have a podcast
Mm-hmm.
is that it's not just about getting attention. You're holding attention
Mm-hmm.
because you're attracting the right fit for you, whoever your audience is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not going to know if people aren't listening, right?
Right.
Not, there's no announcement that person is listening to your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it in the safety of their own home. Like you said earlier, they might be listening to it in their car or in the gym.
Right.
That the ones who are listening are obviously more of a right fit for you. They might not be ready to jump on board yet, but they're listening, right? So you're holding the attention of the right people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I see the big difference with social media versus podcast is you get the opportunity to show up as your authentic self. And I know that word's thrown around so much.
Yeah.
You've got to be authentic.
Right.
But you do, because it's not, you're not reading a script. You know, you're not having AI, which is what people are doing on social media now. AI are writing the posts, even creating the images. It's you turning up as you. You're allowed to be your the personality that you are, and just have conversations. And if you do it in the right way, that you can demonstrate how you can help people, you're shifting the belief in a listener and you're moving them along so that you can actually turn the listener into a lead and bring them into your world. So it's for me, the way I see it, it's a far less salesy, pushy, because you're not trying to sell anything. But in the content that you deliver, you're moving people along that sales journey without you even realizing it, without them realizing it, maybe. And that maybe when the time is right for the listener, then they might come into your world. So there's no pressure. There's no rejection. For me, it's just a more easy, more authentic way of bringing the right people to you.
So as I'm listening to you, you bring up a lot of great points, right? I do believe that for me, when I started podcasting, I thought that, because you brought up a point about a script, I thought I had to have a script. You know, I thought I had to go through, like even us doing this interview, I've heard so many people go through question 1, question 2, question 3. So what if I don't feel as though I'm capable to create on the fly or just come up with the content? Well, how would you encourage someone to come up with the content to be authentic and to be genuine?
Oh, I mean, I think that's really easy, is that you can have a structure. You can have a structure that is going to attract or create your ideal client, as in, you know, there will be, you'll know the types of questions that maybe you need to ask a guest, or if you're doing a solo episode, then it's the same thing, but nobody's asking you the questions. You have an idea in your head that I need to somehow point out what is maybe the big promise that I offer people, because so many people want to start by saying, I don't know, they're a mindset coach or they're a business coach or they're this. I don't even know if I actually have a title. Do I have one? I'm not sure. Because you know what? Nobody cares, do they? What it is you do. What the listener cares about is, what is it that you're offering people? You know, I don't, if I told people what I did, really, I'd probably bore the hell out of them, because what I do is pretty boring, all the back end stuff that we do. So I would say, you know, I help other coaches get their time back whilst growing their business and having fun podcasting.
Right.
That's it. It's like, what is the big promise that you're offering? And whether you're asking the guest that, or whether you're sharing with the audience for your solo episode, then you can share about, you might ask them what inspired them to do that, so that they can talk about their origin story. Then what I would say is, at some point, you want to cover specifically how you demonstrate how you help people get that result. And then also cover what are maybe some of the things that hold people back from reaching out to someone like a mindset coach or a business coach, so that throughout the podcast episode, you can deal with maybe some of the objections some people have, whether it's internal limiting beliefs, like, I'm not worthy, or, if I want to start a podcast, well, who's going to listen to me? Which is what I thought, because you shared my bio at the beginning.
Right.
People knew me as a fitness person. What the hell did I know about online or podcasting? So I went through all those kind of, well, who's going to listen to me?
Right.
I'm not a guru. I'm not a, and I think a lot of people have those internal limiting beliefs in the beginning. And if you can cover them throughout your podcast, or cover even the external limiting beliefs that people go through, so then throughout your episode, you've actually covered everything. And then it is a conversation, because you can just naturally go into it. But if you've got your points down and the structure, it gives you the confidence to then maybe just sort of go with the flow.
Right.
And everybody has a conversation with their friends, sat down having a coffee. When people realize, the more they do it, that it's exactly the same in this way, isn't it?
It's funny, because some of us don't understand what you're saying. Like, I'm listening to what I know what you're saying, right? But what is it? To me, there's one word that sums up what you're talking about right now, which is value. Some of us don't understand the value that we bring to the table. We question it. We question, where we fit, who's going to listen to us, or whatever it is. So let me ask you this question. How did you understand? Because as you stated, you was a fitness person. What do I know about podcasting, right? So Karen, what helped you to understand the value that you bring to this particular platform?
Well, yes, you rightly said, I come from a completely different industry. I did have no clue what I was doing when I started. This came up from the beginning of lockdown, during that terrible time that we won't even talk about.
Right.
And I decided that I needed something to focus on, because I'll go crazy. So I put it on an online summit. I purchased a course, because I put on an online summit, not for profit, just to try and lift people's spirits throughout that time. And I interviewed 20 coaches from a physical, emotional, and spiritual perspective. And from that, so I was approached and offered a show. And I just went with that format of interviewing. So in the beginning, I didn't have any idea what I was doing. I was just holding space for coaches to share their story. I didn't have that structure. I really didn't. I was just going with it and thought, I'll figure it out as I go. And then after interviewing so many coaches who were sort of struggling to sort of get clients, I thought, look, none of you lot are in competition with each other. You all bring uniqueness to the table, right? You're serving different communities. I've got one coach serving, I don't know, men in their 40s going through a divorce. I've got this woman dealing with, I don't know, menopause, or, totally different things, totally different audiences, solving very different problems, whether it's the mental, the physical, spiritual side of things. And each of them had different tools in their toolbox for solving those problems, right?
Right.
And I thought, look, you're not in competition. Why don't we collaborate? And the idea of I wanted to create a directory for the public to come and find the right fit for them. Because sometimes we don't know what we don't know, right? We might think, I am thinking about becoming an entrepreneur and I don't know where to start. And you might think, oh, I need a business coach. Well, maybe you need to overcome some of the limiting beliefs first. Maybe you need to do some shadow work or inner child. All these things that you may not have heard about. So I wanted sort of to create something for the right fit, for people to come and find the right fit for them. Because everybody has got value. Every single person brings value to the table. You know, what is it that you can help somebody with that you're going to have a unique outlook on?
Right.
Right? Because there's no right or wrong, is there? There's it's what is the right fit, which is why I had the idea of, well, you know, for my show, I'm just interviewing people, but actually, why not? Let's have a whole podcast network so everybody can have their own show, right? Because yes, they all bring value to the table. So I know confidence comes into play and all these, but whatever it is you do, whatever it is you choose to do, you could launch, I don't know, you could start thinking about becoming an entrepreneur and I don't know, something in network marketing or affiliate marketing. You could start a show on that, teaching people. Whatever you learn, you could be ahead of the game for somebody. You don't have to wait till you're this massively successful person to then do it. You know, if you're just one step ahead of someone, you can help that one person. And I think that's what it's all about. Everybody who is sort of starting out in this way, you have something of value to show somebody else and to bring them up. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes total sense. But sometimes we don't understand our true value. We really don't, and we downplay it. And so with you presenting, the summit, and then you were offered an opportunity to start your own podcast, which turned into something totally, probably something that wasn't even on your radar, right? And sometimes we don't understand just that one little moment of making that difference, of overcoming what's holding us back can turn to something great down the line. I think that's one of the things that we struggle with.
Absolutely. Just my advice is say yes to everything and then figure it out. And look, I'm not saying it all worked out because it didn't, right? I would say where I'm at right now has come out of a failure. And I don't like using that word because I actually don't believe in failure anyway, because they're all lessons.
Right.
But just because I did have that idea of, I could create a directory. Then I was offered the actual station itself. And I thought, wow, now I've got a platform. But it still didn't work because just providing the platform alone was not enough. Some people didn't even publish their first episode because they thought it was going to be a good idea. Then they overthought it, talked themselves out of it.
Right.
All those limiting beliefs popped their heads up and said, you're not worthy and no one's going to listen to you. And so I realized that wasn't enough. I had failed by just having the station. I gave up the station. I was like, right, we need to focus on just the podcast, so the podcast network, but we need to give more. We need to give the strategy. We need to help them actually implement, not just coach. And so I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if I hadn't just said yes in the beginning, still failed, but took those lessons and put it into what we do now. So yeah, my advice to anybody is, opportunity arises, just say yes. It doesn't matter, even if it doesn't quite work out how you thought it was gonna. You adapt as you go. You deal with what's in front of you, and then you tweak as you go. You don't have to have it all figured out. I mean, yeah, it's easy for me to say hindsight's a wonderful thing, right? Looking back now, I can go, do you know what? If you want to be successful at this, you need X, Y, Z in place.
Right.
I still didn't have that in place. But it's really, if just follow your passion, follow what you love doing, and you will find a way, or find a coach. Like you're a coach, you're helping people who want to take that next step to be an entrepreneur. Take on a coach, somebody who's been there, made the mistakes. Maybe I'm not saying that you've made a load of mistakes.
It's okay because I have.
But you can guide them through.
Right.
There's we all need a guide, don't we? Sometimes to get us there a lot quicker. So yeah, I suppose the thing is, I would say is, say yes. Don't worry if it doesn't work out first time, because a failure isn't a failure. It's just a lesson, and learn from that and go to the next stage.
Wow. Karen, I appreciate the nuggets that you've given today. So let me ask you a question before I let you go. Where can they reach out to you for you to be their guide on this podcasting journey, or whatever journey they would like to be on? Where can they find you as their guide?
Well, if there is anybody, if you're really sort of toying, or maybe just want to explore the opportunity of how to start your own podcast, I run monthly workshops, which are free. Just gives you the opportunity to maybe have a look at a blueprint of maybe how you could sort of get an ROI from podcasting. And you can go to podcastprofitsunleashed.com/workshop. And that would probably be the easiest, least resistant next step.
Nice. I appreciate that, Karen. So Karen, before I let you go, I have to ask you the question, the world famous question, my would you rather question. Would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road?
Oh, hang on. 3 doors or
a
fork in the road.
Yes.
A fork.
Why a fork?
Simpler. 2 options. Too many options. Too many doors.
That's my fellow
fork.
Fellow Aries. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, I love that. Love that question.
Cool. But I thank you for coming on, Karen. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Sure, no problem. And continue to listen to That Will Never Work podcast.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at Chisholm Group LLC and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work, or will it?